Hello and welcome to a new episode on What Does This Data Say? I am Ajay Prakash. Tension is rising on two fronts, outside India and within. In Islamabad, outrage has erupted after India and the Taliban government issued a joint statement yesterday, a move Pakistan calls as a stab in the back. Within hours, gunfire echoed along the Durand line, with Afghan and Pakistani soldiers exchanging fire, in which several Pakistanis were killed. But inside India, the anger sounds very different. At the same time, Taliban press meet in New Delhi, women journalists were denied entry. Photos of the no entry for women sign went viral. Opposition leader Mahua Moitra called it a national shame, while the government chose silence. Two borders, two battles, one about control, the other about conscience. And both ask the same question. When we shake hands with the Taliban, what do we lose as a nation and as a woman? Let's start the story. In 1999, an Indian Airlines flight IC-814 was hijacked to Kandahar. In 2025, a Taliban minister held a press conference in New Delhi. At both moments, the Bharatiya Janata Party was in power, and at both moments, women were nowhere in the frame. So here's the question. Are the Taliban, the RSS, and the BJP really that different when it comes to women? Let's rewind to December 24, 1999. IC-814 flying from Kathmandu to Delhi was hijacked. The plane was diverted to Kandahar, then firmly under control of the Taliban. For 7 long days, India's national security advisor and a small team negotiated with the hijackers through Taliban intermediaries. Finally, India released three imprisoned terrorists, Maulana Masood Azhar, Ahmad Omar Saeed Sheikh, and Mushtaq Zargar. In return, 175 Indian hostages walked free. That was a moral and political nightmare. But let's be fair, the Vajpayee government really had no choice. It was compulsion and not ideology, a painful decision to save lives. Now, fast forward to October 2025. Taliban Foreign Minister Amir Khan Muttaqi arrives in Delhi for talks with Indian officials. India hasn't formally recognized the Taliban regime, yet a formal engagement took place. The press conference held in Delhi, women journalists were denied entry, no explanation, no apology. And when the controversy erupted, the Ministry of External Affairs said, I quote, "We had no role, the event was organized at the Afghan embassy." So this time, there were no hijackers, no hostages, no duress, just silence. Silence that looked a lot like consent. Someone in the Foreign Office or the Prime Minister's office has been working overnight to do some kind of damage control. It is now learned that the Afghan Foreign Minister Amir Khan Muttaqi had called another press conference this morning in Delhi in which he invited women journalists. I still don't have the photographs of who all journalists attended that meeting, but if they think the damage has been controlled, they are missing the point. It was never the physical presence of women in meetings, it is the mindset with which the Taliban operates and our RSS operates. Since retaking power in 2021, the Taliban have issued over 70 edicts restricting women's lives. Girls are banned from secondary schools and universities. Women can't work in NGOs, can't travel without a male guardian, and can't even enter parks or gyms. The Taliban didn't forget to include women in public life. They erased them systematically. To them, women's visibility is temptation, their voices, sin, their presence, corruption. And that's what made the Delhi incident so chilling. It wasn't happening in Kabul, it happened here in the national capital of the world's largest democracy, where Bharatiya Janata Party has been in power for more than a decade. Before we look outward at the Taliban, let's look inward. Where do our ideas about women come from? Centuries ago, the Manusmriti, one of Hinduism's oldest legal texts, laid down the rules of the social order. Here's what it says in verse 9.3. पिता रक्षते कौमारे भर्ता रक्षते यौवने रक्षन्ति स्थावीरे पुत्रा न स्त्री स्वतंत्र महर्ते, which means her father guards her in her childhood, her husband guards her in youth, her sons guard her in old age. A woman is never fit for independence. And then we have verse 5.148, which reads, she should always be cheerful and alert in household work. She should have the utensils well cleaned, and in spending, she should be close fisted. Some scholars have interpreted this as keeping household articles in good order, expert, joyous, averse to expenditure, devoted to her husband. She shall offer obeisance to the feet of her parents in law. Day and night, women must be kept in dependence by the males of their families. Now, this is not Taliban Arabic. This is in Sanskrit. Defenders argue Manusmriti is ancient, outdated, even misinterpreted. That's true, but the problem isn't that the text exists, it's the spirit that still shapes modern political language. Listen to Mohan Bhagwat, the RSS chief in 2013. In Indore, he said, women should look after the household chores, men should earn. In another speech, he contrasted Bharat and India, implying that crimes like rape happen only in the westernized India, not in the cultural Bharat. He later clarified, yes, but the worldview was clear. A woman's natural domain is the home, a man's the world. So when Manusmriti says a woman must never be independent and Bhagwat says a woman's duty is household care, the message is essentially identical, controlled, dressed up as culture. Let's be clear, India is not Afghanistan. We have a constitution that guarantees equality. We have passed the Women's Reservation Act, promising 33% seats for women in parliament and state assemblies. Our girls top civil service exams, fly fighter jets, head companies. But look closer. Women's labor force participation in India still hovers below 30%. Crimes against women rise yearly, and when women journalists are barred in Delhi, the government shrugs. That's not constitutional progress, that's moral regression. The difference between Taliban and BJP isn't what they say aloud, it's how politely they say it. One dictates by decree, the other by tradition. But the outcome, women pushed to the margins of public life. India's Foreign Office said that it was unaware of the exclusion of women journalists. That's not a defense. That's an indictment. Because diplomacy isn't just about what you sign, it's about what you stand by silently. When the Taliban hold a press conference in Delhi and bar women, and the government says nothing, You have legitimized the worldview even if unintentionally. If Nari Shakti
Thank
is
you
the
for watching.
official policy, then it must also be in our protocol. The RSS worldview has long promoted the idea of complementary role for women. As mothers, caregivers, keepers of tradition, it's the same language used by conservative mullahs or priests anywhere. Women are revered, not empowered. Reverence is not equality. Putting women on pedestals is just another way to keep them away from public platforms. And so, from Manusmriti to Muttaki, from Bhagwat's podium to Modi's silence, the script barely changes. Only costumes keep changing. In 1999, India surrendered to save lives. In 2025, it surrendered without a fight. One was a crisis of security, the other a crisis of conviction. Our civilization loves to say, Yatra Naryastu Pujante Ramante Tatra Devta, which means where women are honored, the gods dwell. But honor without equality is hypocrisy. Respect without rights is repression in disguise. So here's the truth. The Taliban impose patriarchy with guns, we do it with scriptures, speeches, and silence. And until women can stand up as equals, not goddesses, not victims, but citizens, we are all, in some way, living under our own softer Taliban.